Oh, yes, episode 172 of Fine Music. Yes, the number two is quite pertinent. You see, you might remember in episode 170, oh, way back a few minutes ago, Babwe covered some long songs, and of course, I started salivating. And then we had our television tribute to Tom Verlaine in 171. And now I will attempt to just give a taste of I'm not going to play anything because it would take forever, but of long songs. So this is, I guess you could call this episode Long Songs Part 2. Just an homage to Jim's love of long song. All right, so I'm going to screen share right away because I have it ready to go.
Cool.
Not hard to do on a Windows Media Player. You just click longest, right?
Okay.
So the longest one I got is 1 hour and 19 minutes and 58 seconds. It's called Behind the Wall of Sleep by OOPHOI. Wow. And it really lives up to its title. It's a super mind journey, almost monochromatic.
Wow.
You'll have vivid dreams with Behind the Wall of Sleep. And you might have heard of Klaus Schulze.
Okay.
Very famous synthesizer guy like Tangerine Dream. And he made one album with a sequencer. It's called Are You Sequenced? And it has a song on it that's almost as long, 1 hour and 17 minutes. What was that? And it's just he's going through different sequencer sounds, and it's it's another wonderful journey. I mean, if I like it, I buy it, and I like that. Now, this next one is misleading. It's the whole concert, not one song.
Okay.
The bootleg tour of the oceans. When Yes did the complete Topographic Oceans, Tales from Topographic Oceans in concert, they used to do all 4 songs. That was back in 1974, before my time, but they quickly dropped a couple songs from the set because it was just too long. There's another fellow who's legendary for long music. I won't say long songs, but Steve Roach. He's sort of the king of dark ambient. Dark ambient music is like you're going down to the dark side of ambient. So this particular one is a 1-track CD called Somewhere Else. And it's actually very good. That's because he's got that secondary musician, Obama Vidna. He adds coloring to the music, and it's just the two of them collaborating. It's sensational. Reflections is just one of those new agey things, right? If you want to hear the ocean. I'm not sure how to say this name, Mono or Mono. They're a Japanese band, and they're quite good. They're part of that sub pop sound where it's very quiet and very loud. Explosions in the Sky is the quintessential band that does that. And you have a mellow passage, then it gets intense, and then it goes back down. So this one is called 1612, but it lasts 1 hour and 7 minutes. Walking from the album Walking Cloud and Deep Red Sky, which I highly recommend. It's a fantastic album for sound adventures, instrumental adventures in your head. But OOPHOI is really, they're the kings of making long songs that are just single journeys. And probably their best one is hard to pronounce, OOPHOI. I don't know how to say it because it's instrumental. That one is the one I'd recommend the most from OOPHOI's material, and an aerial view is a little more tranquil. Next one is just one of those new agey things, healing piano music. I think the guy's name is Steve Ravens or something. They don't list it there. The newest one I picked up is by the NECKS. I talked about them a few episodes ago, recommending them because that is a band that gets jazzy. And probably the king of soundtrack music, Vangelis, who passed away in the past year. He did one concert, and talk about concerts I wish I'd gone to. He did one concert in Los Angeles at UCLA back in 1986. And his special guest was John Anderson. Wow. They collaborated on an album together. And so luckily there's a bootleg, so I can enjoy the bootleg. He was just an extraordinary talent, and John Anderson added an ethereal quality to the music, so it took it to another level. All right, so from here on, you got a bunch of repetition. Merlin's Magic is new age. If you want new age, can't go wrong with Merlin's Magic. NECKS, I already mentioned them. State Azure is like a wannabe Tangerine Dream. George Carlin, you might have heard of George Carlin, right? You can buy, right, his albums. Delightful listening.
Yeah.
And can I scroll? I'm going to just scroll a little bit because this is excessively long, right?
I should probably mention Thick as a Brick.
I think we're getting there. We're getting there. You didn't mention it, but I might get there.
I'll tell you what, you haven't lived until you've listened to that on an 8-track tape or like a quarter.
Oh yeah, ka-chink, every 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I prefer Passion Play. I think Passion Play is the best thing Jethro Tull ever did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Best thing they ever did. Instrumentally interesting, more interesting than Thick as a Brick. Thick as a Brick gets a little repetitious, but a Passion Play does not repeat. It's fabulous.
I should have had Mountain Jam on mine. I'm looking at your list there. I like that.
But just trying to say a few more here.
Yeah.
Where was I? I wanted to mention Orson Welles. That's right. I put it to the top. There's the radio play of the War of the Worlds. Great listening. Great listening.
Yeah.
I'm just speeding through names now to see what hits me. There's some albums that were not available. I couldn't find them commercially anywhere, so I downloaded them from the internet, which is, I guess, illegal or something. Right, just the audio track, the MP3 track, extracting it from the MP4. Because Space Circus is a great jazzy band, but you just can't find their music anywhere unless you want to pay a couple $100 for an album.
Wow.
So I was able to extract that. So I've got Fantastic, Fantastic Arrival. Great jazz album, fusion album. And then there's the Japanese guy, Jun Fukumachi, who has a couple of brilliant albums. His synthesizer album is called Queen Emeralda's Synthesizer Fantasy. I think it was a soundtrack for some movie. And it's extraordinary synthesizer music. If you like Tomita and that kind of thing, you're going to love this album. This album is sensational. But he has another side, which is even better. That's his jazz fusion side, and that far and away his best album is Second Phase. That is one of the best jazz fusion albums I've ever heard. And I've heard a few. So, at this length, this is album length. So I'm going to try to get past this real quick, even though there's other albums I would want to talk about. Like another hard to find album, I may have talked about it in the previous episode, is The United Chair by Julius Brockington. I get to it. I passed it. Okay. Well, while it's not working, I'll talk about the Allman Brothers, Mountain Jam, 33 minutes. All right. There's something more conventional. There are some new bands that are from stoner rock. The genre they're labeled is stoner rock. And one of the best of them is called Black Stoned, because they do those epics. They have a 32-minute epic called Ghosts. From their first album, Black Stoned is really good. Rick Wakeman from Yes. Journey to the Center of the Earth live is 31 minutes. I guess he condenses it. And there's, at this length, you've already heard these names. I'm going to try to get down to something people might recognize. Like Steve Hackett has been the faux Genesis for several years now, right? He plays all the old stuff. So he does Supper's Ready. And he has a whole band, and they do a fantastic job of it. So if you're fiending for Genesis, go see Steve Hackett. That'll fix you up good. Electric Octopus, another one of the stoner rock bands. Juder is probably the prettiest of the new age acts around. Plays the flute, is just so gorgeous. Makes you peaceful in the soul. Very you feel a sense of tranquility when you hear Buddha Nature. The song Illumination, 27 minutes. My newest acquisition, which I'll be talking about in a new episode, is another pie band. You've heard of Humble Pie, and maybe you've heard of Hedgehog Pie, which I've talked about in a previous episode. Now I've discovered Magic Pie. And Magic Pie, oh man, where's my notes? Well, I can't find my notes right now, but I think they're from the 70s or 80s, and they had an album called King for a Day. And I'm not talking about Genesis there, that's Giant for a Day. But King for a Day is very good. It's one of my latest finds, so I'm happy to make such a find. Constance Demby. I would play this for my students on the day before the final exam. And I told them, your assignment is to fall asleep in class.
Oh, nice. Great.
And I played this
Great
music.
idea.
And then when the song was over, it was like 26 minutes. It's called Through the Stargate. And when it was over, I'd say, okay, now write down what you dreamt about while you were sleeping. Even if you didn't dream. Even if you didn't dream.
That's a great idea.
Take it. Right? Because I told them, writing is a scam. You can tell the truth or lie. No one's going to know the difference, especially if you write well. So, yeah, that was one of their favorite things. They would tell the students in the next class, right, the next year's class, hey, ask them to do the sleeping exercise. It was a legendary lesson. Yeah.
Can we do that again tomorrow?
Yeah. During the final? Yeah, really. There's some dude named Miles Davis, you might have heard of him.
Yeah.
Bitches Brew. Some band called Yes, Ritual. Some guy named Don Kingfisher Campbell was on a radio show on KPFK many moons ago. That's very hard to find bootleg. I guess I'll stop there because they're starting to repeat these names. I'm at 25 minutes. I'll go down. See if I can find one more name.
That's a great
People
list.
know Herbie Hancock. Sorry?
That's a great list.
I was going to say Herbie Hancock from Crossing, Sleeping Giant. That's an extraordinary cut. Extraordinary. Herbie Hancock, what a musician, huh? He was in Miles Davis's band, right?
Yeah, he was. Probably,
Yeah.
I think he's on Bitches Brew.
Yeah, so this is a little later and still in the 70s.
The
Phenomenal.
ambient albums too, music for airports and music for films. Those are also long cuts too. That would fit really well with your go to sleep.
Sleep stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I guess I made my point. There's a lot of good long music out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could go on and on. Osamu Kitahima from Japan. Lovely New Age, Jade Warrior, legendary English band, Renaissance.
I think
Space
All Things
Invaders.
Must Pass. I think All Things Must Pass. The George Harrison album has at least one.
The jams.
Yeah.
The side.
Are those two
record
sides?
jams.
Two sides.
Are they that memorable?
Yeah. I don't know.
Like one Happy Birthday John or something. It's a jam.
Just
Pink Floyd Echoes. Now there's probably the first one people recognize. 23 minutes. Pink Floyd Echoes.
Seamus is a great song on that album too. It's a little short bluesy song.
Yeah, there's one with a barking dog. Is that the one with the barking dog?
Yeah.
No, see? All right. Finally, the generations come together for a moment. Yeah, Mike Oldfield, famous. Anything he did. Harold Budd, gorgeous, ethereal music. Anything he did.
Yep.
I'll stop there because I could go on and on. Point made. There's good long songs out there, and many people don't know about. Just get on YouTube and search for something, and the algorithm will provide you with a whole lot more. Leave it at that. All right, that's 172. Thank you for enduring this younger guy.